good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, coming to you live from our studio here at Adesanwe Kanda in Accra. I am Martin Asiedu-Dartey. Coming up this evening, it's official. Alan Kyerematen's movement for change transforms into United Party as the political grouping sets its sight on breaking the NDC and NPP duopoly.
The soul and strength of every political organization is anchored on its values. You are nobody. You will become rich, but then if you don't have values, then nobody respects you. And so your value system as a political organization, for me, is your anchor.
That is the voice of Alan John Kojo Kyerematen, who has now transformed the movement for change political movement into a party now called the United Party. We'll delve deeper into it in a jiffy. Also coming up, 25,000 students placed into private senior high schools through the computerized school placement system for the 2025-2026 academic year. And later, the Ministry of Health rebuts opposition claims that only 60 million Ghana cedis was budgeted for in the 2025 budget for the reconstruction of the La General Hospital. We have details of all of these and more coming up within the next 60 minutes. Stay with us. This is Hot Edition on 3FM. Let's bring you the news summaries, though, with Christabel's Success Treve.
We start with some education stories. The government of Ghana has placed 25,000 students into private senior high schools under the computerized school placement system, CSSPS, as part of efforts to expand the free senior high school policy. However, unlike placements in public schools, government will not pay tuition fees for these students. Instead, it will provide a stipend of 994 Ghana cedis per student per year. The Minister for Education, Haruna Idrisu, announced this during the signing of a memorandum of understanding with leaders of private senior high schools in Accra. The Deputy Director of Operations at the Presidency, Mustafa Bande, has tasked appointees in President Mahama's administration to prioritize the needs of the party's grassroots over other political parties. The NDC's Deputy General Secretary also urged appointees in the current government to influx the ideology of the party in their daily service to the nation. On the health front, former Minister for Health, Dr. Bernard Okuboi, has called out government for what he says is a lack of commitment to completing the La General Hospital, despite efforts by the past NPP administration to give the project a strong footing. According to him, the NDC government has failed to release a cedi to the contractor for the continuation of the project, adding that 60 million Ghana cedis was allocated to the project in the 2025 budget. Dr. Okuboi claimed that the recent 130 million Ghana cedis, which the health minister announced has been allocated for the completion of the project, is only a futuristic allocation. Finally, Minister for Communication, Digital Technology and Innovations, Samuel Nati George, says his ministry has begun fulfilling its promise to create a more enabling environment for Ghana's creative community through strategic partnerships with global technology platforms. In a Facebook post on Wednesday, October 15, Sam George described the initiative as part of efforts to harness digital tools for the national development and empower local creators to thrive in the digital economy. Well, we're also live on YouTube and on Facebook. Please stay with us here.
We are delving into the details of our stories we have for you this evening. We're starting from the political front because it's now official. The movement for change, which began barely a year ago as a political pressure group, has formally transitioned into a political party now known as the United Party, UP. Speaking at the unveiling ceremony in Accra, the leader and founder, Alan Kyerematen, announced an ambitious blueprint aimed at transforming Ghana into an economic powerhouse in Africa by 2040. According to him, his ultimate goal is to build a united, peaceful and prosperous nation capable of driving Ghana's growth and, by extension, that of the African continent. Mr. Chemating and his supporters broke away from the New Patriotic Party in 2024 to form the new movement, which later evolved into the UP. He subsequently contested the general elections that year, polling some 31,000 votes, representing 0.28% of the total national votes. The former Trade and Industry Minister believes Ghana's current political landscape, dominated by the NDC and the NPP, excludes a large section of the population. He emphasized the need to end what he calls a two-party monopoly and create equal opportunities for all Ghanaians. So now, time to listen to the specifics of what Alan Chemating had to tell the many who had gathered there to support his movement, which is now a fully fledged political party, the United Party.
And our mission as a party is to build a united, peaceful, secure, and prosperous country. Can you become the economic powerhouse of Africa if you are divided? No. Can you become the economic powerhouse of Africa if there's no peace in your country? No. Can you become the powerhouse if you are not secure as a nation? And also, our mission is to provide equal opportunity for all Ghanaians, not for some, but for all Ghanaians. What we have been witnessing since independence is that the opportunities are open for only a few people. The United Party is going to change that dynamics in Ghanaian politics. And it is to provide the opportunity for every Ghanaian to realize their full potential. If you want to become a carpenter, want to become the best carpenter in Ghana. If you are an electrician, we want you to become the best electrician. The soul and strength of every political organization is anchored on its values. You are nobody. You will become rich, but then if you don't have values, then nobody respects you. And so your value system as a political organization, for me, is your anchor.
And that's Alan Chemating, who is the founding father of the new political party known as the United Party. Interestingly, the name United Party mirrors the historical roots of the NPP, whose antecedent was also known by the same name. The new political grouping retains the multicolored monarch's butterfly as its symbol, with yellow as the dominant color, symbolizing continuity with its origins. For the leadership of the United Party, or simply UP+, there's no turning back, as the group says it is poised to become a major political force with the ultimate goal of winning power. Alhaji Boniface Abubakar Siddiq is the interim national chairman of the United Party, and he has also been speaking to the congregation.
Today they claim they are giving us amnesty. What does amnesty mean? What crime has our new leader committed? What crime did I commit in MPP for you to sack me? And today you are telling me you are giving me amnesty. No way. No way. When you divorce in Islam, when you divorce a woman 3 times, she's no longer your wife till thy kingdom come. I consider myself, I consider people like Baba Alhaji in the Islamic fraternity have been sacked. We don't belong to anybody. We came and contributed. Ghana first. We believe in Ghana and nothing else. Our members include people, renowned people in this country. Some were members of parliament, cabinet ministers, some from NDC, some from MPP, PNC. Today they have come together to form what we call a united party. If they had forgotten, the UP was inaugurated when? 3rd November 1957. When Kwame Nkrumah was introducing what we call ADA, Avoidance of the Discrimination Act. This was where Otunfo called Ochiame Bafwa and said, look, gentlemen, Kwame Nkrumah is saying that by December, if any party formed based on religion, ethnicity, regionalism, that party will be banned by 31st December 1957. So you see, people are born being smarter than people who think they are in positions. Bafwa Koto was CPP, but by the instructions of Asantehene, he quickly moved around the whole country, pulled all the parties together, and then they came and formed a party called UP, United Party, because it was broad-based. It was no longer religion. It was no longer tribal ethnicity or regionalism. So this is what our new party is about. We believe in the old values, the core values that help to establish UP.
And that's the voice of Alhaji Boniface Sadiq, who is the interim national chairman of the United Party. Let's go to the phone lines now and engage the thoughts of a member, someone who's also followed this particular issue quite closely and interestingly. They have a thought to share on a Deputy General Secretary and political assistant to Alan Kyerematen. Nana Yao Sapong is with us on the phone lines. Mr. Sapong, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, my brother. How are you?
Not bad, thank you. To start with, have you been issued the certificate by the Electoral Commission to fully recognize you as a party so that at least you can now start operating in the country?
Of course. Thank you very much, and thank you to your production team for reaching out to us on this very, I'm not used to these words, but on this very august occasion. You know, a day that it's almost like a liberation day, a day of redemption for the political class of our country. Indeed, yes. We couldn't have come out to announce the name of the political party, explain our values, and put out our logos and symbols and our visions and missions if we have not gone through the process. You know, the Electoral Commission has laws, they have regulations, and we have gone through the regulations. We've been handed over our provisional certificate some few weeks back, and what we are left with is just to be issued the main one, which Electoral Commission is in the process. But as it stands, we have been given the provisional certificate, which allows us to be able to do exactly what we're doing now.
But there are many who ask, is it not the same movement for change that we saw contest in the last election that has just been rebranded? This is probably just a rebrand or a name change, because every other thing is the same, the color, the logo, etc. So how different is the UP from the movement for change?
We went into the general elections 2024 as a movement, as a political organization that presented an independent presidential candidate. We were not a party, you understand me. We went in, Alan went in as an independent presidential candidate, and after the elections, when we had sat down, the political stakeholders of Movement for Change were of the view that why not? I mean, let us put our hearts together. Let us put everything that we have together, and let us bring up a political party, and let's wrestle power properly. You would say that indeed is the thing, but yes, I mean, every organization improves, every organization grows. All right. So after going into 2024 election as an independent presidential candidate on the vehicle or in the special purpose vehicle of Movement for Change, and for that matter, Alliance for the ARC, we thought wise to put together a political party. And interestingly, putting together this political party has attracted almost membership from across the political divide, from both the NPP, from both the MPP, the NDC, the CPP. We've sent people from other political organizations that have come to join, that we should go in and wrestle for power and rescue Ghana. And this is what you saw today. If your reporter would give you the footage, if he would be able to give you the picture right, you would understand that we had attracted a cross-section of the Ghanaian society.
We actually are showing, or this bulletin is streaming on Facebook as well, so our listeners can also see the videos and pictures you are referring to, because we are playing it, and we can see that the turnout was quite large. The Honorable Alan Kyerematen himself
and you would
there.
Attest to the fact that this is not a gathering where we went out there to bring people to come and sit.
People, you mean?
You could see the quality of the audience, the persons who were in to listen, the persons who were seated and have agreed to actually come with us.
And we're interested to know what the United Party is bringing. And I think that will be my next question. How different, because from what we heard the flag bearer talk about, the founder talk about, he is clearly stating that it is going to be the third credible force to douse the duopoly of NPP and NDC. It is going to be one that is not just Ghana focused, but Africa focused. But how different would your ideals be when you look at the fact that NDC and MPP have dominated, and you indicate that you are attracting people from these two parties? So how different are you going to be to attract these supporters that you are hoping to join you?
Okay, so listening to my interim leader and founder, you would understand that he made mention, and even Honorable Boniface Abubakar Sadiq, who is the interim national chairman, stated that we all as Ghanaians agree that the very fundamental wrong in Ghana is leadership, credible leadership, transformational leadership. All right? The leadership that has the country at heart, the leadership that would be focused and would have plans to be able to transform what we have as a country. And that is what United Party UP is presenting. We are presenting that formidable leadership, that transformational leadership, that incorruptible leadership. That is what we are putting out. If you look at even the interim leadership or executives that have been presented, these are seasoned politicians who we will not be able to point any iota of corruption or doubt on any of these personalities. Not a single one of them.
Okay.
And of course, if you have read our Great Transformational Plan, which we presented, all right, during the 2024 general election,
the GTP,
and you look at what is happening today, you would attest to the fact that we have a plan. We have a plan that will not only uplift, strengthen the economy of Ghana, but we have a plan that will make Ghana a hub that the entire Africa, all right, would be looking at and mirror.
We are grateful for your time this evening, Deputy General Secretary and Political Assistant to Alan Kyerematen, Nana Yao Sapong, for helping us understand the reasoning that went into the formation or the transformation of Movement for Change now into United Party. And we'll probably have a longer conversation subsequently, so our viewers and listeners can also follow this transformation by this party. Thank you so much for speaking to us. Let's stay on the same subject and now bring in Dr. Kwesi Amache-Boateng, who is the senior lecturer at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, Department of History and Political Science. Doc, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Good evening.
What do you make of the fact that, in 2024, the general elections, we had Movement for Change. Their performance wasn't as they expected. But over time, they say they have now transformed into what Ghanaians should expect to be a credible third force known as the United Party. How realistic is this to break the NDC and MPP's duopoly?
How realistic is what?
how realistic is their ideal and the campaign? I mean, are you optimistic that the third credible force they say they are can break NDC and MPP's duopoly?
Oh, okay. Thanks for the opportunity, and let me say good evening to your listeners. Actually, it's an ambitious sort of a dream. But my understanding is that we are here to see whether they are able to establish themselves within the understanding of Ghanaians. You know, the youth, especially, and then generally members of society, whether they are able to really get this established, that they have come to represent a credible third force, and because of that, Ghanaians will have to see them, if you like, as an alternative party that can deliver what people have been looking for. I'm skeptical about this because generally, political parties, form around some core ideologies in the developed world. In the developing world, the base that the parties rely on as much as possible have to do with the people themselves and their core values. My understanding is that this explains even the fortunes of the CPP now. This explains why, from the time of independence to date, political parties that came up outside the major political traditions simply didn't do well. And today, when you do a roll call of the parties, you don't hear of those, smaller parties that were there some time ago. Have difficulty seeing, the United Party doing anything different. Because if anything at all, they're trying to build on the same political tradition.
Would you not say it's early days yet to come to that conclusion, considering the fact that a number of people say that they are actually tired of the NDC and MPP, and they do not have another option because there really isn't any alternative. So maybe as a young, vibrant party, and considering the kind of background that the founder, Alan Kyerematen, has, he could be the attracting factor to the United Party. Do you not agree?
We participated in the last elections and we saw their fortunes. It was an opportunity for people who have some difficulties, some issues with the traditional parties to, tend to. People didn't tend to them. The fact that many people decided not to vote alone is a testimony to the fact that they didn't see, at that time, the movement, and then today, this new political party as the alternative they are anticipating. And so it is not early days yet. They have participated in our politics. And also, given where they are coming from, I don't think people will see them as a new force per se. In the same mindset, in the same understanding, but crucially, they themselves admitted that they are an offshoot of the United Party, the UP tradition.
Yes, the UP
tradition. They themselves made that admission. And if that indeed is anything to go by, they will want to stay with MPP today. That is a stronger force, and that will give them hope, especially for them to participate in government, for them to see, as a body that could bring about a major change.
Okay.
They can go back to some of their leaders of yesteryears who they think did well. They do mention President Kufuor currently. I mean, they have produced 2 presidents in the Fourth Republic. And so they want to stay in the MPP.
Right.
If anything at all, you want to say that as far as the last elections are concerned, people had issues in another Kufuor.
Right.
So fine.
But
someone will say it's early days yet, but I don't think it is.
Okay, all right. But finally and briefly, do you think that the name change could do any magic for them and probably confuse people who believed in the ideals of the NPP because of the same history, which is the United Party history?
I think that is also another issue that I'm a bit surprised. Why they decided to take that same name, UP. It means that they didn't want to brand themselves as any new entity. They decided to come out of the same tradition that people are used to, and whose, if you like, individuals, the leaders that have come out of this particular tradition are now known. Ghanaians know what they are capable of doing. So if you're coming from that same tradition, then obviously you are not, coming up with any new thing. You are telling us that you come from the same source.
Okay. Thank you so much for your time this evening, Dr. Kwesi Amakye-Boateng. He is a senior lecturer at the KNUST Department of History and Political Science. Thank you for speaking to us. So what do you make of this new party that is in town? It is called the United Party, adding on to the many other political parties we have in the country. And their biggest aim is to ensure that they break the duopoly or the monopoly, I should say, of the NDC and the NPP in Ghana's politics. What prospects do they have? Would you be attracted to them? Would probably their founder, Alan Kyerematen, be the attracting factor for you? Do let us know in the comment section. We are streaming on Facebook. Just look for 3FM 92.7. We are also on YouTube, so you can watch us on the multiple platforms, and your thoughts and messages are very welcome, so do share them with us. When we return from this quick break, we'll be looking at something regarding education. Has your ward been able to get their placement? So far, 25,000 students have successfully been placed, albeit with several challenges. We'll delve into that story shortly. This is Hot Edition on 3FM.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596-920-833 or 0302-200-390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Thank you for staying with 3FM 92.7. We are going on to education now, and the government has placed 25,000 students into private senior high schools through the computerized school placement system, the CSSPS. However, unlike public senior high schools, government will not cover tuition fees. Instead, it will provide an annual stipend of 994 CDs, which is 994 CDs per student. The Minister of Education, Haruna Idrisu, announced this during the signing of a memorandum of understanding with leaders of private senior high schools in Accra. Through this arrangement, 25,000 students have been placed in 70 private senior high schools across the country. The initiative, according to the minister, is part of government's broader effort to eliminate the double-track system and create more space for students with private schools providing additional classroom capacity. Let's listen to the Minister of Education.
As candidate, is keeping in honor as president having been elected, rooted in the fact that he had an understanding that the implementation of the free senior high school initiative was bedeviled with many problems. problems that affected the quality delivery of quality free senior high school education. The previous administration, in its quest to expand access to free senior high school, even redefined free compulsory universal basic education to include free senior high school. So in Ghana today, the Constitution guarantees equal educational opportunities for all Ghanaians. I emphasize it. The Constitution of 1992, those of you who want me to be specific, between Article 34 to 38, I'm sure Article 34 of the Constitution emphasizes equal educational opportunities for all Ghanaians. Its meaning and its impact is that every Ghanaian is entitled to the full benefit of the rights and freedoms guaranteed under the Constitution, subject to the state ability to provide it. Now, if you see a significant number of Ghanaian students unable to join public schools, by necessity, they find comfort in private schools. They are still Ghanaians.
Right, so that's Haruna Idrisu, who is the Minister in charge of Education, giving us a reasoning behind why government has now decided to work closely also with private schools. Let's now speak to the Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools. And the gentleman has joined us on phone for a quick chat, Obengfo Nana Kwesi Jetia. Nana, good evening and thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, and good evening to all your cherished listeners this evening.
Right. Several years ago, or a few years ago, we know that your association kept reiterating that you had capacity to take on students and wanted to be placed on the government intervention when it comes to secondary education in the country. Finally, there seemed to be that understanding and collaboration where private schools have now been added to government school placement program. How does this make you feel, and for the fact that at least for the first time 25,000 students have been sent to private senior high schools?
All right, thank you very much. You know very well in your prelude, as you have already alluded to, that the private education in Ghana is an epitome of quality education delivery in Ghanaian education system. And so therefore, when the free senior high school policy started, we argued strongly that it is very necessary and logically right to include the private schools into the participation. The previous administration, in terms of the Ministry of Education, did not reason with us as to how it would be very possible to do so, even though we presented many proposals to them. Though when this government was formed, it was also very prudent for us to engage them to see how best these initiatives, which we have championed for a very long time, be considered. And I'm glad to say that today we have witnessed the signing of a memorandum of understanding between the Ministry of Education and the Ghana National Council of Private Schools for the implementation of the free senior high school program in selected private schools as a pilot project. And so we will use this opportunity to actually appreciate the ruling government, the Excellency John Dramani Mahama, the President of Ghana, the Minister for Education, and all the heads of agencies who supported this initiative to come to fruition. So we are much grateful, and we believe that this is a great milestone that is going to actually be a foundation upon which private-public partnership is going to be anchored in terms of education delivery. It is actually going to also be a leverage point to even engage development partners to see the work of private education as a decoy in education delivery at the pre-tertiary education level. So we are much grateful and we are very happy that this collaboration has actually been kick-started.
And it is interesting that you mentioned that after several negotiations and meetings, at least now it has taken off on a pilot basis. We are told that government, as part of the agreement, is going to be paying 994 Ghana cedis per student, which is to cover full tuition. Is that it? What exactly is this amount expected to do? And would that be enough? Would it be adequate considering that you are a private institution?
All right. So if you look at the entirety of the MOU signed today, there are aspects upon which they give the responsibility or confer some duties upon the ministry, and there's also an aspect of the way the NACOPs that we have to also bear as our responsibility. And if I will quick to walk you through some of these issues to help us answer the question you just posed, we just have to understand that the Ministry of Education will be actually responsible for the sponsorship or providing one hot meal to all the students that have been placed in the private schools. And it's also important to clarify that our understanding that we have had with the ministry is that the students that are going to be placed in our schools are going to be day students. They are not going to be residential, so they are non-residential students. And for that matter, government is going to provide one hot meal, textbooks, uniform, school clothes, supplementary readers, and any other approved educational materials by the Ghana Education Service under the Free SHS program. And so if you are looking at the cost, it is not only the cost of the 994 Ghana cedis as allocated for a student for the year. We need to also understand that in terms of technical support like training, these 70 schools will benefit from any government training that the GES or the Ministry of Education will be providing for the implementation of the free senior high school program. Now, let's look at the issue of tuition. The agreement that we have is that government is going to provide 994 Ghana cedis per person within an academic year, which is 2 semesters. And that is excluded from any tuition. And in our education balance, when we talk of tuition, we are more referring to the money that we use to pay the teachers. And so if you look at this, when there is a precedent, the precedent is that government had already had partnerships with the private hospitals in terms of implementation of the National Health Insurance Scheme. It is not the duty of the government to be paying your employees, because the moment the payment is coming from elsewhere, what it constitutes is that the legal relationship that exists as employer and the employee then is being taken away from you, and it reduces even your corporate entity as someone who owns a corporate entity. And so our argument that we have with the government is that we will provide for our teachers. Government is going to provide 994 Ghana cedis for that. Right. Aside that, there is a recurring cost of 250 Ghana cedis that government is also going to provide based on budgetary allocation that will be given to the free SHS policy.
Okay.
And so when you put all these together, it's kind of coming up or summing up to a point where it reduces the kind of burden.
Okay.
And we need to also understand that this is a pilot project. And so there are so many lessons that we are going to learn from it. And our memorandum of understanding spans for 3 academic years, within which there are durations that we could review some of these nuances that may come out to see the best way forward.
Okay. Obinfo, thank you. It's very early days for this interesting initiative, which I'm sure many of you are supporting just in a bit to encourage a number of our young people to go and get secondary education. We'll see how it plays out in the coming days. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
You are welcome. Thank you very much.
Right. Obinfo Nanakwesi JTI is the Executive Director of the Ghana National Council of Private Schools. And the news is that they have signed a memorandum of understanding between them and the Ministry of Education, where 25,000 pupils have been placed through the computerized school placement system into private schools. So we know that the larger number that goes into public schools is in excess of over 60 to 80,000, but 25%, a good percentage of that, 25,000 I should say, are into private schools. And in the coming days we'll give you further breakdown of what all of this means. This is still Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Let's go on to some other issues, and this particular issue should be of concern to you because we're going to be talking about food. So if you do eat, you want to listen to this. October 16, which is today, is the day set aside to mark Food Day, a global celebration to raise awareness about hunger, malnutrition, and the importance of food security. This year's food celebration was under the theme Working Hand in Hand for a Better Food for a Better Future. Nearly 500,000 of Ghana's population, about 15.1 million people, experienced some level of food insecurity. That's according to the Ghana Statistical Service. According to the reports, the northern region recorded the highest rate of food insecurity, where the eastern region recorded the lowest, and 35 to 50% of average households' budget, particularly among low-income families, focuses or is spent just on food. And in studio with me is my colleague from the research desk here at Media General, Wisdom Safo, to walk us through what the key issues are and what the numbers are saying. Wisdom, good evening. Thank you for joining us on 3FM.
Okay, Martin.
Right, to start with, what are the numbers saying? Talk to us about the specifics in terms of whether we even have enough and which areas we need to improve upon.
Okay, very well, Martin. Martin, today have you done 111? That's the boys in the WhatsApp group, the code. So normally, if you talk about food security, it is a matter of great concern because you know what? There's a saying that a hungry person is an angry person. Before you could do anything in this life, you have to actually first eat before you do anything at all. So according to the Ghana Statistical Service, as you rightly mentioned, the food insecurity situation, about 15.1 million Ghanaians are facing some form of food insecurity. That's like half of the entire country. But if you narrow it down to the regions, as you rightly mentioned, you're talking about 48.7% for Upper East region. They are on the top of the list when it comes to the most food insecure region, followed by the Northeast.
Okay, so it means that for those following us, it means that the Upper East region, which you mentioned, is the region that struggles the most when it comes to food availability.
Right. And actually, when you're talking about food insecurity, we normally focus on the quantity, whether the food is available. We don't focus on the quality. The quality is also very important because, look, if you are eating more of starchy foods, no vitamins, no, protein and all that, it's also joins in when we're talking about food insecurity. But at the back of, followed by, after Upper East, we have the Northeast region, then we have the Northern region, the Upper West and Savannah region. If you look at all these regions, they are on the Northern Belt. And this brings the question, why is it that we are looking at food insecurity and we are just pinpointing the northern sectors, the regions in the northern sector? And it boils down to one major challenge. It's about their weather, it's about whether we have plans for irrigation, and it's about what? Multi-dimensional poverty. Okay. So we realize that for you to, we use money to buy food, right? Even for you to eat quality food, you have to spend a lot on it. So we realize that there is a prevalence of poverty in these areas. Hence, multi-dimensional poverty, and finally food insecurity. So if you look at the national average, as you rightly mentioned earlier, that the eastern region happens to be the lowest, and I find it quite interesting. You know, these are agro-based places where we normally farm. We do a lot of large-scale mechanized farming and all that. So it's very natural to have a low food insecurity in the eastern region. So Martin, if you're talking about food insecurity, this is just a snapshot of how it looks when it comes to Ghana. Okay. Coincidentally, when you're talking about food, its availability or otherwise, another key issue we look at is a population, where the density of the population. So we know, based on information and data, that the Greater Accra region has the most population in terms of Ghanaians. Then we go to the Ashanti, then Western, etc. When you're looking at the distribution, would you say the Greater Accra region, for instance, has enough considering the population we have? Yeah, so it's very interesting looking at the data. You realize that these people from the rural areas of the rural regions, they actually produce a lot of these foods. And instead of them eating it or keeping it, they rather bring it to Accra, sell it to the traders, and they rather eat the more nourished, the leftovers. So Accra actually has a lot of food, and it is not even on the top 5 list of food, the most food insecure regions. So we have enough food in Accra. You just have to have the money, to buy them, Martin. Okay, right. Thank you for that quick snapshot of what we should be thinking about as a nation. And also, when you talk to a number of people, the key interest is that, or what normally they would say is that the food basket of the country is in the northern part. So if it is the food basket, indirectly saying that's where we grow most of our foods, how come when you look at availability of food, they are also the ones they will rather go in for the money? Yes, they will prefer selling and getting the money rather than all right. So, I mean, it paints a very interesting picture of how all of this is playing out, but certainly in the coming days we'll try and delve deeper into it. Thank you very much, Wisdom Safo. He's with our research desk here at Media General. And I mean, if you've been listening, what do you make of it? Have you had something to eat today? And what do you make about the fact that about half of the Ghanaian population do not have food to eat, or are unable to get quality food to eat? Do send it to us in the message section on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page as well, and we'll share it with the rest of the world. Talking about food and things we consume, we're going to the Western region now, because the Western Regional Poultry Farmers Association has called on government to consider the risk of inexperience and bird mortality in the implementation of its Nkukon Kitten policy. While expressing its wholehearted support for the policy's objectives, the association has expressed concern about distributing broilers to non-poultry farmers or inexperienced groups, which carries a high risk of failure. And in the moment to speak to. All right, so there's this report put together by Irama Smith, who is in the Western region. Right, Irama, thank you for joining us. To start with, what exactly are some of the solutions that are being proffered when it comes to ensuring that the right people are giving these Nkukon Nkitten policy that the government is implementing?
Right, so they are urging government to implement a hands-on training program for all beneficiaries, and they are willing to participate in this so that those who are going to benefit will have the practical know-how. It should be mandatory, should have the practical know-how before they start this process. They are also urging government to also implement a buyback policy, whereby when they are ready for the market, government will buy them back and perhaps put them onto the market at subsidized rates or however governments want to go by it. This, they are also calling for these to be bought by government and then fed to our schools, that the second cycle institutions, to ensure that there is always a ready market for these for this produce. You may listen to the chairman.
We urge the government to mandate comprehensive handout training for all beneficiaries receiving the free bets before distribution in the future. We are willing to collaborate in developing and delivering
extended credit facility program aimed at restoring debt sustainability. Latest data from the Bank of Ghana show that as of July 2025, the country's debt stood at 44.9% to hit 59.1% by end of 2025. Before we go, the Customer Experience Professionals Ghana Association is urging businesses to rethink their approach to customer experience, not as a support function, but as a strategic driver of profit. This report has the rest of the story.
At the 5th Annual CXP Ghana Conference and Awards, the association said companies that invest in customer experience stand to gain more than just satisfied clients. With the right systems in place, businesses can boost revenue through repeat purchases, strong referrals, and reduce regulatory risks. Customer experience is fast becoming a competitive edge in Ghana as consumers demand faster responses, personalized services, and consistent engagement. From initial inquiry to after-sales support, seamless customer service are proving to be good for business. Estelle Fosuhene is president of CXP Ghana.
They will get customers who will be very pleased at the end of the day, and so they will keep coming back. They will not spend so much money in campaigns because they will do the word of mouth marketing for them for free. And so you will definitely increase your market share, you will increase your profitability, your revenue, and you will reduce your risk of complaints, risk of customers leaving you, and even regulatory risk when the regulators see you and then jump on your neck and fine you.
Adding his voice to the call for inclusive and tech-driven customer experience, MTN Ghana's CEO, Stephen Blewett, emphasized the importance of bridging